Hey, I'm Fran Harris. I'm the founder of the Badass Business Tour, and I've got a badass business tip for you today. Now, badass means that you are a bold, audacious, daring, accountable, sensational seeker. And here's the tip. Some will love you and some will not. But if you want to be successful, you've got to walk around in a bullet-resistant vest. Now, that's not news for most of you. You've heard it all your life. If you want to stand out, you can't be afraid to be outstanding. I say that all the time to my students, to my clients, to myself. If you want to be successful, you've got to walk around in a bullet-resistant vest because you will take some hits. No question about it. You're going to take some hits, all right? So I could have titled my multi-city national tour The Really Cool Business Tour. Boring. I could have titled it that, The Really Cool Business Tour. I could have also titled it Uniquely You. Uniquely You Business Tour. Yeah, that might have worked, but then I said to myself, you've got to practice what you preach. And what I've told thousands of folks that I've coached and millions of folks who've heard me talk about business on television is you've got to be willing to stand out. You can't be afraid to stand out. If you're ever going to be outstanding, you can't be afraid to stand out. And I mean really stand out. So I said, Harris, you got to practice what you preach. And in order to do that, you got to be different. You got to ruffle some feathers. You got to make it hard for folks to ignore you in the marketplace. And for me, there was no other word than badass. When I thought about going all around the country, all around America this summer, this fall, and talking to entrepreneurs about what they need to do to become more successful, to reach more people, to help more people, to serve at a greater level, badass, you got to be badass to do that. Now, here's the thing. When doing the title for your next book, your next seminar, your next audio or video, there's a song that Aretha Franklin put out, I think in the early 70s or late 60s, and it says, giving him something he can feel. You got to give folks something they can feel. You got to give folks something that is going to get a reaction out of them, right? You want to incite a riot. Think about this. If what you're putting into the marketplace does not incite a riot, if people are indifferent to the message, if they could take it or leave it, you're not doing a very good job as a marketer. You're not doing a very good job as a brander. You're not doing a very good job as an entrepreneur. Give them something they can feel, right? Make people do something, even if that something is in the opposite direction of what you want people to do. So when I titled my business tour series The Badass Business Tour, I knew exactly what was going to happen. I knew that there were going to be some people who'd go, yeah, I dig that. And there were going to be some people who was like, oh my God, she said badass. Oh my God, she said ass, right? Incite a riot. That's what your marketing should do. That's what your marketing messages should do. Make people feel something. Make them do something, okay? Now, a few weeks ago, this has actually happened. A few weeks ago, I posted an infographic into the social media atmosphere, right? And it had badass in the topic. It may have been an infographic or something like that. So it had badass in the title. It may have been like 21 ways to be badass at work or something like that. And a random person tweeted back to me something to this effect. Fran, this is really good, but I wish you'd used different language. What? This is really good, but I wish you'd use different language. Let me tell you something. I was so pumped to see that tweet. I really was, because I'm practicing what I preach, right? Give them something they can feel. Incite a riot, right? So obviously this person felt enough to tweet me and say, I like what your message is, but I wish you'd use different language. I loved it. Now, somehow that person had decided that badass is profanity or whatever. For whatever reason it triggered them. I don't know. I don't know who this person is. But they felt something. They felt the need to reach out, right? And I did laugh. I thought, dude, I'm not 14 years old trying to fit in, right? I am who I am, and that is the way it is. So while I appreciate the tweet, I'm glad you're listening. You're proving my point. Give them something they can feel. So this person, for some reason, felt like badass was a bad word. I want to ask you something. How much do you assume about the words that you hear and the phrases that you see, and you make decisions and judgments on things all the time based on your conditioning, right? So here's what I want you to think about. That assumption, his assumption that badass was, somehow bad or somehow I shouldn't be saying it. It means that some of you are accepting everything someone tells you about you, the group you belong to, the women, Hispanic, tall people, short people, people who wear size 8 shoes, people who wear bandanas, people who live in Cleveland, Ohio, whatever. Stop just accepting what people tell you about yourself. Because you're going to be in such a position to constantly believe what people tell you about you. Somehow this individual, and maybe some of you listening to me, have it in your mind that badass is a bad word. And that's you. That's on you. That has nothing to do with me. That has nothing to do with the millions of other folks who are digging the badass movement right now. So I want you to think about all the words, all the beliefs, all the conditioning that you've had over the years, no matter whether you're 15 years old listening to me or you're 95 years old listening to me, the things that you've bought into that have not served you, or the things that you bought into just because your mother told you that you should feel that way, or your daddy or your priest or whomever, all of the things that you've bought into as good or bad, because it goes both ways. Here's the thing, innovators, badasses, define and redefine words all the time, roles all the time, concepts all the time, and possibilities. I got to repeat that, y'all. Innovators, the people who change the world, whether we're talking about social entrepreneurship, philanthropy, business entrepreneurship, badasses. They are constantly defining and redefining. They're influencing the world. They change words all the time. They're constantly challenging society's roles and where they belong, concepts and possibilities. That's what a badass is, right? And that's really all I've got for you today. I got myself all excited, but that's really all I have for you today in this series of badass videos that I'm going to be sending out leading up to my tour. I want you to just stop buying into the rules and the roles and start reinventing and reshaping the world you want to live in. Every day, every morning I wake up, I say, whose feathers can you ruffle? Get out there and be who you are. And stop apologizing for wanting to do something better and different, for wanting to make the world that you live in, the community that you live in, the company that you work in. Stop apologizing for wanting to make the world a better place. As long as you're not hurting anyone, physically killing anyone, this world is yours. It belongs to all of us. And we owe our ancestors, the people who came before us, our predecessors, a duty. We have a responsibility to go out there and raise some heaven. Raise some heaven. Get out there and change it. Redefine. Innovate. Be a badass. For me, that's what it's all about. When you go out there and you start redefining and reinventing yourself and changing words and challenging the status quo, that is pure badassery. That's what that is. All right? So this is what I'll be teaching on my Badass Business Tour. And if you'd like to know more about it, check out badassbusinesstour.com. I'll be in at least 6 cities, coming to a city near you, and I'd love to see you there. Until then, have a badass day, and I'll talk to you in the next video.